Alright guys, it's another day out here in the garage. So I bolted up a few more things last night and got the exhaust put back on as well as the drive shaft. But there are still a number of things we have to do, but I also plugged in more sensors like the O2 sensors, and I even plugged in the crank sensor, which I didn't think the car would start without, but somehow I missed that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try and start it back up and make sure that everything works before we proceed. Wow, man, that's awesome. So starts up really easy. Not even a check engine light at all or anything in there at all. So I've made a list of the things that I need to complete. So in no particular order, I have transmission fluid, install the front end, like the radiator, core support, headlights, intake, crash bar, all that, bumper. I need to put on the engine mounting nuts. I seem to have misplaced those. I know I saw them recently, but I'm not sure where those are, so the engine kind of flops around a little bit. And then I have the windshield wiper reservoir. I need to burp the coolant, do a power steering fluid install and burp, clutch fluid, reinstall the shifter trim in the car, and then clean out the disgusting mold in there, man. It smells terrible. It's like an 8th grade locker room before all the boys knew that you were supposed to shower after working out. Alrighty guys, we are now at the point where we are ready to bleed the coolant. We have everything else on pretty much. So one of the last jobs. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this thing drink first with the motor off. We're going to get as much fluid in there as we can. So I'm using distilled water, and then I have water wetter, and then some antifreeze as well too. So we'll be using a blend of those three things. Now VQs are kind of notoriously hard to bleed, just due to the way that they are routed with their cooling system. So I will kind of go through how I like to bleed this and get it as well bled as we can. So I will show you guys that process. Also these, I don't know what they're called exactly, but this bucket type where they have adapters to fit onto your radiator neck, these things are incredible. And they have a plunger so you can stop the flow at any time you want. And they're really great for burping the system because they'll hold fluid in here, and that way no air is actually getting into the system as it's burping. It's a pretty ingenious little design. Water wetter works pretty well if you are going to be on the track at all. I like to use this stuff. Just follow the directions on the bottle for your application. Alright, and then we pull the plunger up here. We'll start to kind of take down there into the system. We'll stop that before it goes all the way down. I'm just doing a ratio of 1/2 to 1/2 with the antifreeze and distilled water. Probably not going to see this very well, but there is a bleed valve right down here that you can crack open to alleviate the pressure, and that's going to be really helpful during this process. I'm going to crack it open, and I'm going to fill this thing up until it comes out of that little bleed valve, and then we're going to turn it shut. Now that the water has stopped drawing in from just a standstill, we are now going to make sure that this has probably about 1/3 of the way filled up with water, so it's not pulling in any air. And we're going to go into the car, and I'm going to show you what the next kind of steps look like here. So we've got water in here and the plunger removed. Next we're going to go ahead and start this thing up. Now the belts are probably going to scream at me, so apologies in advance here. Alright guys, I want to mention also that it helps if you have the nose of the car pointed up so that the radiator cap is the highest point of the system. That definitely makes your life a little easier. My driveway is kind of slanted backwards, so it's at a bit of an angle. Could definitely use more, but I think we should be able to still do this, but ideally so that's what you'd want to do. So this next thing is going to be a little bit of an in and out process. We're going to be in the car, then out of the car, and then back in, just checking our temps here. Now the car is kind of up to temp a little bit already, because I just actually flushed the I added the power steering fluid and got that through the system, so I need it warmed up during that process. But what we're going to do first is we're going to turn the AC. What we're going to do first though is turn on the heater, and hopefully that will go away here in a moment. Maybe it will not, I'm not sure. But we're going to turn that all the way up so that it's coming through the heater core. We want all the coolant to circulate through the system. So I'll turn that on full blast heat. Okay. And then with that going, what we're going to do is we're going to keep an eye on our coolant up there. I can see it was jumping up a little bit. That's why we didn't fill it super high. But this next part, you're going to be revving it to about 3,000 RPMs and then holding it, and then getting out, checking it, messing with the bleed screw, letting off a little pressure, and then just kind of going through that cycle and letting it get up to temp and making sure that no air is left in the system. So with that, we'll bring it up to 3,000 and hold it for 10 seconds. All right, so I've done this a few times. I've held it at 3,000 RPMs for 10 seconds. Get out, make sure there's coolant in the funnel still, so we're not sucking in air, and then bleeding off a little bit of pressure with the bleed screw and releasing some of that air. You'll see bubbles come out ideally until it's done bleeding, and the air will start to get really hot. and that's a sign that you're well, in conjunction with the temperature reading about somewhere in the middle, maybe slightly below, and then getting that hot air, that's going to be the sign that you have bled it properly. So we'll do that a couple more times here. So now we get out. Still got coolant here, that's good. I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Try and bleed off the pressure here. So it looks like just mostly coolant is coming out and not necessarily air bubbles. So that's good, we're getting close then. Tighten that back up and then repeat that process until you're done. Alright guys, well, as you can hear, the car is idling really well. It's running fantastic. Now, there's a few steps between the last thing that you saw and it running like this and on the ground. I went to bleed the clutch and it was very weird. We couldn't get the clutch to engage enough, and it would get stuck on the floor as well too. So we thought that we needed to bleed it more, but it seemed like we had already bled it to the point where, you know, it didn't really make sense to continue bleeding it. So I played around with the lever some more, the clutch rod arm from the slave or master cylinder, and ended up getting it to a good position where it would come back up off the floor. Well, even then, while the car was in the air, I noticed that anytime I would give it throttle while it was in gear, it would bog down and it would only rev and then come back down and rev and come back down. And it was very weird. It was just cutting power. And then I noticed that the slip light on the dash was going off. So I decided to try putting the car on the ground and seeing if it would move forward in gear. And it did, and it lets you rev once it's on the ground. I guess the computer thinks there's too much slip going on, so it's limiting the throttle. And I think that's what was causing that issue. I'm going to try and go for a test drive and see if it works, but yeah, it's running great right now and it's on the ground.
As you can see, the car is running.
Very powerful, very raw, very emotional. All right, will you move, please? And then we need to move your car. All right, guys, I got my driving shoes on here. We're going to go ahead and take this thing for a spin around the neighborhood and see how it does for its inaugural test drive. Are you going to do the first test drive? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You can't even reach the pedals.
It's okay, I got pillows for that.
Yeah, phone books.
Okay. Am I going to get in?
It's so clean, I'm finna whip this hoe.
Man, I'm finna whip this hoe.
It's been a really long time.
Since, what, Grid Life last
August.
year, right?
Yeah, so like 10-ish months.
That's insane.
It's insane, right?
But it sounds good. Sounds healthier more than ever.
It's a really low mileage engine. So far it's letting me drive okay. I forget what it's like to drive this car. It's very interesting to get in the car. I was really worried about that clutch thing for a minute. But I think what I realized in my head is I can't see all the lights when I sit back like this because the steering wheel just covers the top of it. And when I leaned forward, I noticed it was flashing the slip light.
But
So I figured if I lowered it on the ground and the car thought it wasn't, you know, slipping one of the wheels, you know, then it wouldn't cut throttle. Oh my God, this windshield wiper is so, or windshield is so dirty.
I went a little bit.
Just a little, huh?
How does it feel to be driving her again? Good?
Yes. I forget how much I love this car. You can hear all like the rust and everything from the car sitting forever on the brakes.
Is that what that noise is?
Yeah, it's the pads rubbing against the rotors.
Oh.
Man, the AC blows cold though. Is this guy gonna stop?
Yeah, he is.
Yo, I'm the one in the car that has all the race car stickers on it. Slow down, man. know, this motor that I just purchased from this place with essentially just taking their word that it works, you know. It just works fine. I mean, I guess they are a pretty reputable business, but...
Where'd you buy it from?
JDM Dallas, which is actually in Arlington. Funny enough. Well, the temps are rock steady. Cars are spawning well. We're gonna go over to a little side road here and just see how it feels on throttle. When we kind of really get on it. I really should have cleaned this windshield first though.
Do you not have any fluid in there?
Nope. Alright, let's see how she does when we give it a little bit of gas. Well, I'd say that's pretty damn healthy. Oh man, it feels so good to drive.
You should do a U-turn so I can go and record you.
Alright, let's do it.
Wow, looks so nice.
Loud as ever. All right, guys, well, as you can see, the car is back on the ground and things are mostly back together. We are in the home stretch with this here. So what we're gonna do today is kind of wrap up the loose ends here. Number one being with the fact that the car is absolutely disgusting inside and out. As I'd mentioned in a prior episode, the interior has mold grown all over it on the door panels, the speakers, e-brake, just much of the interior, and it smells awful and is, you know, toxic to be around. So I've actually kept the windows down for a few days here in the summer heat, and that's hopefully killed off a lot of that, but we're gonna disinfect this car and clean up all that molds. And the outside is disgusting as well too, having, you know, sat under a tree for almost a year just stationary without being washed. So number one, we're gonna clean this car, and then next we're gonna get into a few small things that need to be wrapped up, and then this car is ready to get back on the road and hopefully the truck soon. Guys, well, this bumper is pretty busted up. You know, it was in pretty rough shape when I bought the car, since the guy off-roaded and really just neglected the car in general. So the grill is all broken up from the top and the bottom as well. It's kind of hard to see, but down here there's a huge crack. And the bracket here, this is actually just completely tearing apart from the bumper itself. So it's pretty torn up, yeah. So what we're gonna do though is, I saw this this tool on Speed Academy, and there's a plastic welding gun, but it's not like those little plastic welding irons. So what it does is it heats up these two little coils on the end, and then you take these metal staples, and these get pressed into the plastic. They get pushed in there and melted in so that it reinforces it from the backside. So we're gonna try this out and see how it does. Ultimately, I just wanna get a new bumper at some point, but trying to avoid spending the money on a expensive new one for the moment, and I can't find any good used cheap ones right now, so I'll keep my eyes out for one. But yeah, we're just gonna do this for the meantime. Okay guys, so this tool actually comes with a variety of different like staple types that you can use to reinforce it. For this application, we're probably gonna try and use this kind of arrow-headed one here, because it's right in like a tight corner. So we're gonna try and use that one, but there's different applications that you can use for these. Oh, look, you can see it get like red hot. That's sick. All right, dude. Let's start.
Oh, you're about to go through it. Oh, wait. I think you leave it in there, don't you? Oh no, it's popping out.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like stuck in the gun.
Well.
Yeah, just leave that bad boy in there.
Do it, Anakin. Carcinogens. Tight. Ooh. That is cool.
Ah, tight, yeah! You got the hood popping the rides.
Yeah, you can see, look all just from the one weekend, all the tire rubber that's been thrown up there.
That's not too bad actually.
So really that tool actually works very well. We're pretty impressed and happy with that. I mean, this bumper is pretty shot, to be completely honest with you. It's gonna be hard to see up there because I put the bracket back in place, but it really added a ton of rigidity back into this, and feels like it should be strong enough to mount back to the car. You can see I actually went through the other side with two of those at first, but you know, it's functional, and I'll get a new bumper at some point. The grill as well, as you can see. I mean, this, like I said, this thing is just totally shot everywhere, but we'll buy it sometime. You can see here that this OMP tow hook has been, it's seen better days. And actually this is part of what ripped the bumper a little bit. I didn't really calculate the position that I put this tow hook, and also I didn't use washers, which I most definitely should have to spread the load there. But yeah, it pulled up and then it just kind of ripped the bumper when the tow truck pulled me off track. Normally this is located in the center of the bumper, but I relocated to the side because I thought it looked better. But turns out I was just being Stancy boy, so I'm gonna remove this and then get a new one and put it in a new location later on. That is pretty screwed up. So
brakes sound pretty good, Day-Day.
Yeah, it's a little specialty of mine. Yeah, so like 10 months, man. We did it.
Mine's next.
That's right.
God, I hope, man. The last part should be in the mail. Whoa. Get a little bumpy.
I don't know, man. I put on that white pipe now, so I think mine might have the power advantage at this point.
Yeah.
Shit's a V6.
Mine's a V6 too, brother.
May I borrow your car?
It's a V6. Don't let the power go to your head.
Alright, if we're gonna crash, I'll get it on film right now.
That's right.
Just bed in those rusty brakes, brother.
Oh, I thought I saw like smoke from it. I was like, hey.
That was smoke from your tires for sure.
Oh, did it lock it up?
Yeah, you locked it up for sure.
Wow, I wasn't even that hard on
Dude,
it.
no, you locked up the right front. I heard it like
I
sliding.
can smell it now.
It's like always on the floor.
Man, she feels really good though.
Yeah. Sounds great.
I got the Blackstone oil analysis back as well too.
Yeah.
And it was really like a healthy report. I'll have to put that
On this engine?
Yeah.
Oh,
very,
cool.
very good.
So this is the Blackstone oil report. Essentially, they're just showing that the motor is healthy here. There's nothing out of the ordinary in terms of the values go and the averages for these different materials that are found in the oil. And there's a huge difference between this motor and the last one that came with the car. As you could tell, the motor was probably on its way out. It had a high copper count, which is kind of indicative of the bearings going out. But this motor looks healthy and good to go.
Oh wow, these brakes feel good, man.
It's pretty slow.
Yeah, a little bit. Pretty slow compared to the other.
Running pretty good though, man. I mean, shit, it feels like you did before it broke. Honestly,
it really does.
It feels the exact same.
I forgot how good the driver inputs are on this car, man. It's very tight.
Yeah, when you turn left, it goes left, and when you turn right, it goes right.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like it knows what your hands are doing. It's such an advanced system. Wow. I mean, red match is so cool.
Oh, let's hear it in this tunnel.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
A little blast on it.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
the 350Z, revered for its great sound.
I love it actually.
This one actually sounds pretty good though. It's not like a trumpet.
Yeah. It's a love-hate thing, you know. If you either just love it or hate it.
Yeah.
It's iconic, you know. Even if you don't like it, you know what it is.
Oh,
You
definitely.
already know what it is.
It's like a V6 Mustang with straight pipe. You know what's coming.
Yeah. But it's like, it's either like a 350Z, a G35, or like an FX35, like SUV, and it's just like,
And the muffler's cut off.
yeah, it's just like, you're like, what? It's a VQ nearby. Oh, let's go VKS.
The new engine in, so check it out.
Well, hello.
Wow. Well, that was a ton of work. It's funny how time works. Feels like it's been years, but at the same time, feels like it just blew by. Being my attainable dream car, we really put in a lot of work to make sure this thing was well put together, and man, has it paid off. It was disheartening when I blew the motor on track last year, but it was always a time bomb. Now, I've got the healthy, functional car that I always set out for. From scraping everything between the old gasket material to our battered knuckles to dropping in the newly placed motor, I'm truly glad that you could all join us for this rebuild series.